I'm Connor, an English teacher of Langmaster learning system, and this is the first video of the series English Learning Methods. Today, I will share with you the secret to improve your English skills. This is a simple exercise that you can do to practice speaking English. This exercise will help you to speak English clearly so that people can understand what you say. It's very effective. Before you begin doing this exercise, let me ask you a question. Do you speak English like this?
I'm here to make Vietnam stronger. I'm a global citizen. I communicate with the whole world. I'm passionate about learning English.
As you can hear, the girl did not speak clearly. She was mumbling all the time. If you have the same problem, this exercise can help improve the clarity of your speech. Here's how it works. Firstly, you need to find English listening material like an audiobook or a podcast. And by the way, you can find a link to download this kind of material for free at the end of this video. Once you have that, just listen to it and try to repeat what you hear to the best of your ability. This will help improve your speech in several ways. It helps strengthen the muscles involved in speaking, it helps improve your pronunciation, and so on. This exercise seems easy to do, but doing it effectively is not easy. The results you get depend on your accuracy. If you can repeat what you hear accurately, you will get great results. But if you're not very accurate, you'll probably get poor results. So let's talk about the single most important thing you can do to get the best results possible from this exercise. The single most important thing you can do is to slow down the audio before doing the exercise. Most media players allow you to change playback speed. You can use that function to decrease the playback speed like this.
Say the two sisters.
If it's a video, slow it down as well. Why do we have to do this? Well, there are two reasons. Firstly, it ensures that you will speak slowly. Speaking fast is not good. The faster you speak, the more mistakes you will make. Every time you make a mistake, you are more likely to repeat that mistake in the future, and we do not want that to happen. Secondly, in order to repeat what you hear accurately, you need to hear it clearly. But if it's too fast like this...
And you know what? The dream workers disappeared and someone else came out of the principal's office, smiled at me and said, well, all right then, let's talk.
If it's too fast like that, you are going to miss some details. You're not going to hear some sounds, such as the ed endings of verbs in the past tense. If you don't hear the input clearly, the output you will produce will not be accurate. Now, let's see this technique in action.
He has got 3 daughters.
He has got 3 daughters.
And 3 sons.
And 3 sons.
One daughter is called Beauty.
One daughter is called Beauty. Okay, it's simple, right? All you have to do is listen closely. Repeat what you hear. When you repeat, pay attention to your pronunciation. If it sounds good, move on. If you hear a mistake, or if you're not sure, go back and listen to that part, then try again until you get it right. Also, if the current sentence is long, you should pause mid-sentence and just repeat that part. Don't wait until the speaker finishes the whole sentence, or you might forget the beginning of that sentence. The key is to practice slowly. Do not rush. Your goal is accuracy, not speed. It's not how fast you can do it, It's how slowly you can do it correctly. Alright, that's all you need to know to get great results from this simple exercise. If you want to get started, click here to go to our website where you can download some materials to practice with for free. If you really want to change your English speaking and listening skills, make a decision and join Langmaster Learning System. We will help you speak English easily, fluently and automatically. I'm Connor from Langmaster Learning System. Goodbye. See you next time. Hello everyone, I'm Connor, an English teacher of Langmaster Learning System. Today, I will share with you the secret number 2 to help you improve your English skill. How to improve English speaking skills by yourself. I think you already know that if you want to improve your English speaking skills, you have to practice, right? You have to speak. Studying grammar will never improve your speaking. Listening to English alone will never improve your speaking. You have to actually speak. But what if you don't have someone to talk to in English? How can you practice then? Well, there's a technique that allows you to learn to speak English by yourself. No speaking partner is required. This technique can help improve many aspects of your spoken English. Your sentence structure, your grammar, your vocabulary, and most importantly, your ability to express your thoughts and ideas effectively. So, what is this technique? Well, here it is. Learning to speak English through imitation. When I say imitation, I'm not talking about repeating after native speakers and using the exact same words to improve your pronunciation. I'm talking about something a little more advanced than that. Here's how it works. You listen to a conversation, a story, or some kind of speech, and then try to deliver that speech in your own words. Let's see this technique in action.
When I was a child,
When he was a child,
my parents liked to pretend, like many other parents, that Santa Claus would bring us presents at Christmas.
his parents liked to pretend that Santa Claus would bring them presents at Christmas.
So when my siblings and I would wake up on Christmas morning,
So when he and his siblings would wake up on Christmas morning,
there would be a bunch of presents from supposedly Santa Claus sitting in front of the fireplace.
there'd be a bunch of presents from supposedly Santa Claus. So that's how it works. But that's just one way to do it. There are other ways too. For example, instead of imitating small portions of speech, like phrases and short sentences, you can imitate larger portions of speech. So, in this case, you wait until the speaker completes a thought or an idea, then pause, and try to express the idea yourself. Another approach is to simply listen to the whole speech and then try to deliver that entire speech yourself. So, there are several ways to go about it, but what I recommend is to combine them all together. And I call this approach easy to hard imitation. Easy to hard imitation is based on the concept of progressive training. The idea is that you start with something easy and then increase the difficulty of the activity, forcing yourself to get better. A number of studies have found that this kind of training can be very effective. Here's how you can apply this concept. Start by imitating small portions of speech. First, like phrases and short sentences. Then, move on to imitating larger portions of speech, like long sentences or even groups of sentences. And finally, try to deliver the entire speech on your own. This technique offers many benefits. You get to listen and imitate correct English, which helps you learn to form sentences properly. You get to learn idioms, expressions, and other speaking patterns that are used in day-to-day conversations. You get to learn grammar. When you imitate other people, you're learning grammar through a process called implicit learning. This is the process where the learning happens without your awareness. This is how babies and children learn the grammar rules of their first language. When you imitate, you don't think about the grammar. You're not trying to understand why the present perfect tense is used in this situation or in that situation. Instead, you're focused on communication, on understanding and expressing ideas. You're still learning grammar, but you're not aware that it's happening. This is one of the best ways to learn grammar. Okay, that concludes this video. Hope you guys can speak English perfectly. If you really want to change your English speaking and listening skills, make a decision and join Langmaster learning system. We will help you speak English easily, fluently, and automatically. I'm Connor from Langmaster Learning System. Goodbye. See you next time. Hello everyone, I'm Connor, an English teacher of Langmaster Learning System. Welcome back to English Learning Methods. Today, we will continue to learn another secret to speak English easily and fluently. It's the right way to learn to speak English. In this video, we'll discuss 3 methods for learning to speak English that really work. But before we do, we first need to talk about how humans learn. This is important because if you have some basic understanding of how we learn, you'll be able to distinguish good learning methods from bad ones. So, let's begin. The first thing you need to know is that there are 2 types of learning. The first type of learning is called explicit learning or conscious learning. This is the type of learning where the learner knows that he's learning something, and also what is being learnt. One example of explicit learning is studying grammar. When you listen to an English teacher explaining the past tense, you're learning English explicitly by consciously memorizing how to use the past tense. The second type of learning is called implicit learning or unconscious learning. In implicit learning, the learner doesn't know what is being learnt. Mostly, he's not even aware that he's learning something. The learning happens unconsciously. One example of implicit learning is listening to a conversation in English. When you listen to a conversation, your main goal is not to learn English, but to understand the conversation. But by doing this activity, you're simultaneously learning English. You may not realize it, but you're learning many aspects of the English language. The sentence, structure, the grammar, the vocabulary, and so on. So we can learn English in 2 different ways, either explicitly or implicitly. The question is, which way of learning is better? To answer this question, consider this. Just like there are two types of learning, there are also two types of knowledge: explicit knowledge and implicit knowledge. Explicit learning results in explicit knowledge, whereas implicit learning results in implicit knowledge. And there's a very big difference between these two knowledges. Accessing explicit knowledge requires conscious thought. You have to think about the knowledge in order to use it. This means that if you want to speak English properly, you have to think about English. You have to think about whether to use the past tense or something else. You have to think about how to form a sentence properly. But that's impossible. When you speak, there's no time to think about any of that. In contrast, accessing implicit knowledge does not require conscious thought. You don't have to think about the knowledge in order to use it. Think about how you speak your first language. It's pretty effortless, isn't it? You can speak properly without having to think about any grammar rule. That is possible only because your knowledge of your native language is implicit. For this reason, implicit learning is much better learning strategy. When you don't have to think about English, it frees up your mind so you can fully concentrate on expressing your thoughts and ideas. Unfortunately, many English students like to learn English in an explicit manner. Some of them spend time on YouTube watching videos about English grammar. What they don't realize is that the knowledge they gain from the activity is explicit knowledge, which is almost useless when it comes to speaking. So, let me share with you 3 methods for learning to speak English that really work. I'll give you an overview of them as well as their advantages and disadvantages. The first method is listening. Just listen to English as much as possible. An advantage of this method is that it's very easy to do. You can do it while you're stuck in traffic, whilst exercising, whilst waiting in line, and so on. But the main drawback of this method is that it's too passive. Listening alone is just not enough. You have to combine listening with some sort of speaking practice. And that brings us to the next method, which is to use English-speaking courses that teach English implicitly. Let's see how these courses work. Is there a cat? No, there is not a cat. No, there isn't a cat. What is there? There is a dog. A dog. There's a dog. Does Lisa own the dog? No, Lisa doesn't own the dog. No, she doesn't. Lisa doesn't own the dog. Who owns the dog then? Okay, so that's one example. Here's another one. There was a guy named John. He wanted to own a restaurant. Did John want to own a car? No. He didn't want to own a car. He didn't want to own a car. What did he want? He wanted to own a restaurant. Wow. He wanted to own a restaurant. He wanted to own a restaurant. Who wanted a restaurant? Okay, so that's how it works. A key advantage of using a course like this is that you get feedback every time you speak. This allows you to learn and improve quickly. This is great for beginners. By using a course like this, the learner can expect to see significant improvements in a matter of months. But this method has some disadvantages too, one of which is limited learning. When you use a course like this, you get to learn only the words, phrases, and other things that are used in that course. And this is a problem because in order to speak English well, you need to keep expanding your vocabulary. Another problem is that at some point, it's going to become easy for you to practice with these courses and you will stop improving. When that happens, you're going to need to use a different method in order to keep getting better. And that brings us to the last method, which is called imitation. This is the practice where you listen to a conversation or a story in English and then try to tell that story in your own words. And by doing so, you get to learn grammar, vocabulary, and other aspects of English. This is a great method for intermediate and advanced speakers. A key advantage of this method is that there are virtually no limits to how much you can learn. The more you practice, the more you learn, and the larger your vocabulary. But the main problem with this method is that it can be difficult for beginners. If right now you can speak English just a little bit, you may not be able to practice imitation effectively. If that's the case, you might want to start with 1 or 2 speaking courses before you start using this method. Okay, so that's an overview of 3 learning methods that work because they are all from implicit learning. If you really want to change your English, speaking, and listening skills, make a decision and join Langmaster learning system. We will help you speak English easily, fluently, and automatically. I'm Connor from Langmaster Learning System. Goodbye. See you next time.